Oh, I've been waiting for this one I've been keeping close tabs on this one. We have why TikTok's DoorDash girl has finally been indicted. For people who don't know, long story short, they're probably gonna explain real quick, but I'll do a quick little background. This woman um was doing a DoorDash order for a gentleman. He was knocked out. He was probably, I don't know, maybe after he smoked, maybe after he was drinking, or whatever. And he kind of just had his Johnson all out. He said in the instructions, yo, leave my food outside the crib and bounce. Now, if I was working, I'll leave the food outside the crib and bounce. And then, but she had this whole story saying, like, oh man, he had himself out there. He was trying to show himself to me. And she felt that she was SA'd from that. Footage came out. He had a Ring door camera just to find out that she actually pushed the door open to get like a weirder angle of him. Oh yeah, and on top of that, took a picture of the gentleman inside of his house. Now she's pleading, oh man, oh my god, oh yeah, no one's looking out for me. But like as you can see, this was a highly avoidable situation. Now it's been a few months, and now we're gonna see what has happened to her.
This TikToker has finally been indicted months after she went viral for recording an unconscious man in his own home, naked from the waist down. She uploaded the footage to TikTok where nearly 30 million people saw it. And then she called herself the victim.
I'm the one being punished. He's not getting in trouble with the police. He didn't lose his job if he has one. Like, what's going on with him? Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down and why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. I lost my job. I'm the victim.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
You see,
I think the biggest mistake about the DoorDash girl that she refuses to understand is she posted it. Not once, not twice, because she talked about how it like three, 4 times because TikTok kept trying to take down the video. She kept posting it in this public platform of some man, unconscious, naked in his house, to these platforms, which you can't do anyway, bro. That was her biggest mistake. Because the sad part is, if this was like underground, like she just, I talked to DoorDash's, support, did whatever. Honestly, she might have even won. She might, or at least kept her job. But she got to the point where she was looking for the clout. Because before this, if you go to her page, like she was trying to get more and more views. I'm telling you right now, clout's a drug. Clout is a drug, bro. Like she just wanted it so bad, but she realized at what cost.
Olivia Henderson, the TikToker here, claimed that this man sexually assaulted her during a DoorDash delivery. And that was even though he was completely unconscious the entire time. But when police investigated, they determined that no sexual assault occurred.
I didn't know you could assault somebody unconsciously, but whatever.
And as a result of this whole thing, she ended up arrested and charged with 2 felonies. She pled not guilty, and the case got transferred to county court. And then for a long time, it all went quiet.
Yeah,
but
it did.
Now, after months of this case sitting in what felt like legal limbo, DoorDash girl has officially been indicted by a grand jury in Oswego County. And by the looks of it, the charges are exactly the same as what she was arrested for, which means the prosecution didn't water down a single thing.
Wow.
So in this video, we're going to talk about what the...
I'm actually very shocked, bro. Because a lot of these stuff, they're like, oh, it'll get so much popularity, but like they'll kind of just like brush it off and like, maybe like a little slap on the... No, they was not playing. So she got a few years, most likely.
Indictment means, what she's facing, and why this might signal that the DA is not necessarily messing around with this case.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Okay, so just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, since it has been a bit since our last video on the subject, let me first give you a quick recap of the case. This is Olivia Henderson. She is 23 years old from Oswego, New York. Back on October 12th, 2025, she was working as a DoorDash driver.
Yep.
And while working, she picked up a Wendy's order and delivered it to a customer in the city of Oswego. Apparently, that customer had selected the option to have his order left at the door. This is important for this case.
And my customer requested that their order be left at their front door. And when I arrived...
Oh, you even said that too. Oh, you effed up. I think this is the craziest part about it. Since she put so many videos online, there is online proof of her literally admitting to it, bro.
Arrived at their house, their front door was wide open, and they were within eyesight of the front door, laying on the couch, indecently exposed to me.
However, this conflicts with some reporting that's out there saying that the man actually has ring footage that shows her pushing the door open to see inside his home. And police would apparently later determine through their investigation that this man was incapacitated and unconscious due to alcohol consumption, and that therefore the assault couldn't even have happened in the first place. Now, a reasonable person walking into a situation like this where you have a customer that is unconscious on their couch, half naked, probably would have just set the food down and walked away.
Yes.
And if the door was indeed open, they may have just closed the door for the guy, or maybe even called someone to check in on him to make sure he was okay.
Honestly, if the door was open, bro, as a brother, I probably leave the food, close the door, but like give it like a knock, just to be like, oh, to like kind of wake him up, so he doesn't feel embarrassed. Like, oh man, I have my junk all out, do it. I think that would have been the most classiest way. Maybe at most, let's be honest, all things happen to us at work all the time. I get it. You might go home, talk to your significant other, your family, crack a joke or do whatever, and be like, oh, this whatever. Okay, fine. But the minute she put it on TikTok, y'all, that's the problem with that generation, bro. I love how I say that generation like it's not mine, sadly. We are too comfortable online. Not everything needs to be some freaking show, bro. Not everything has to be like some way to farm views and clicks, bro.
But Henderson pulled out her phone and recorded him
That's
instead.
crazy to me.
That's fucked up.
Oh yeah, that door is like wide open too. That's the sad part. I would just all you have to do, bro, just close it, give it a knock, wake him up, a DoorDash, and just walk out. That's it. That's all you have to do.
She then uploaded that video to TikTok with no censorship over his body. And
Oh, I didn't even know that. I just assumed. Oh, that's so effed up, man. Imagine you had a hard day, you beating your schmeat, you rocked and you rocked. Next few hours, you go on TikTok just to find your meat on the internet, bro. Wow, that's crazy. And you're at your own crib. If you can't beat your schmeat in your own crib, like what is this really America? Like that I didn't realize. Yo, imagine if this was a male DoorDash driver recorded a passed out naked woman and put it on TikTok. Oh my gosh. To be honest, I'm surprised the video's even caught track. That would be pulled off the platform so quickly. It wouldn't even get any traction.
his first name in the caption, not to mention the front of his house.
And his name. Oh man, I never even realized this, bro. So you have when he was initially exposed himself, viewed over 30 million people. Yeah, dude, now. Lock her ass up.
And this video racked up nearly 30 million views before TikTok finally took it down. And then she uploaded it again before TikTok took it down once again.
That's her problem.
You guys, my account is currently at risk of being banned.
Yeah.
Because I had to explain my story one time, right? They took the video down and gave my account a strike. So I explained my story again and censored the video that I have just so they can't take it down for the same reason. They took it down for the same reason again, and now my account has a second strike. Guess what? If I get one more strike, I'm banned from TikTok. So not only
and then she went on a TikTok campaign of sorts, claiming that this man sexually assaulted her. But here's something worth noting, which I have talked about in previous videos before. When she says that she was assaulted by the guy, she didn't go to the police first. Instead, she first uploaded to TikTok. Then she reported to DoorDash second, apparently. And she only went to the police after commenters on her viral video suggested.
Now, this is a very, very touchy subject for most, but I'm gonna say this: if it ever gets to that point that you feel like you've been like honestly and truly fearful for your life, essayed, things of that nature, the first thing you should do is call the police. If it really happened and it's truly urgent and you feel like you were in danger or something happened to you, first thing you should ever do is always call the police, bro. If the first thing you do is go online and post it and you have to have people tell you that you should probably go to police, I'm going to be very inclined to not believe you, bro. And I'm going to take it as like you're using this as a way for clout, because it'd be foolish for us. It'd be really, really foolish of us to just assume that every story we hear online is true, genuine, honest. Because when I've seen people literally in danger when shit really hits the fan. When shit hits the fan, people don't joke around. They don't post stuff. They don't edit stuff. They don't do whatever. They get help. All right. It's as simple as that.
That she should do it.
And they sent a police officer over to speak to me in person and watch the video that I have. And then he asked me to email it to him, and he asked me if I want to press charges, like what do I want to come from this?
And the sequence of events is potentially important. I would imagine that the prosecution is likely to put it in front of a jury, so that they can understand that her allegations of sexual assault were not really legitimate, that she didn't have a good faith belief in them if the first place that she went to was TikTok as opposed to the police. Now, on top of that, DoorDash did...
She was trying to win the people's court. She was hoping to get the people to pretty much back her up, to kind of force their hands, whether she wanted clout, whether she wanted money. Like, I think she wanted money. I think what she expected to happen was that she was going to do this, it was going to go blow up, and then everybody was going to get mad at DoorDash for not defending her as a woman, and then she was going to get a huge payout. But then she started to realize, since she literally self-snitched on herself on things that she did, she screwed up. Like, recording that, saying that you pretty much didn't follow instructions, leaking customer information. Like, come on, bro.
Did respond to this whole situation. First, they banned the customer and Henderson. Then, because this incident went so viral, DoorDash actually put out their own statement about it on TikTok. There, they said that posting a video of a customer in their home and disclosing personal details publicly is a clear policy violation.
That's common sense.
And that was the only reason that her account was deactivated. But you know, Henderson was not happy about any of it. And the thing she seems to have been most upset about was the fact that she wasn't going to get paid for the views on the viral videos since they had been taken down by TikTok.
And they took down my video. They were gonna have to pay me for my second story time because that was over a minute long. They were gonna have to pay me for all those views I got. So no, they took that right down.
How much money did you think you was gonna get paid, bro? Like, I've been in a TikTok creator program. Like, how much money do you think you were actually gonna get paid?
They took that right down. Absolutely not. They're not paying me for that. Nope.
And that's something that is going to be probably important to show her intent in posting these videos in the first place. By the way, if you need help with a real legal issue in your life, contact us at the Bites Law Group at bites.law. We're partnered with firms all across the U.S.
Let it go.
So
Let the ad go.
Link in the description below, we can help you find quality representation in your jurisdiction. Anyway, as I was saying, I mentioned earlier that the Oswego City Police Department investigated Henderson's claims, and they said that they reviewed independent video evidence from the scene. And on top of that, the man apparently cooperated fully and gave a statement. So the police concluded through their investigation that the man was incapacitated and unconscious on his couch due to alcohol consumption, and that no sexual assault had occurred. So on November 10th, 2025, Henderson was arrested by the Oswego City Police Department for recording the man while he was naked and then uploading that recording to the internet. She was charged with 2 felonies. The first count was for unlawful surveillance. That's for the act of actually recording the man with her phone without his consent. And the second count was dissemination of an unlawful surveillance image. That's for the act of uploading that footage to the internet. Then on December 4th, 2025, Henderson showed up at Oswego City Court for her arraignment, where she pled not guilty. After that, the case got transferred from Oswego City Court to Oswego County Court. And this is standard in New York for felony cases, as is the case in probably most states. In New York, city courts don't actually have jurisdiction to try felonies, only to do the most basic early appearances. That means that once it goes to a grand jury for an indictment, the case is automatically transferred to county court. So until that grand jury indictment, this case has kind of been in limbo between the two, although it seemed like it was being positioned commissioned to be transferred to county court. That said, for a while, it was still very unclear to the public what was really going on until now. And so here's the big update. Olivia Henderson has now been officially indicted by a grand jury in Oswego County. As you can see from her docket here, her case is now listed in the Oswego County court system under an indictment case number. And the charges, let's take a look. As I mentioned before, they are the exact same charges that she was originally arrested for. You can see that count 1 is for dissemination of an unlawful surveillance image, which is Penal Code Section 250.60. And then there's count 2, which is unlawful surveillance brought under Penal Code Section 250.45 sub 01. So the prosecution has not diluted a thing. They didn't downgrade any charges. They didn't drop anything.
Good.
They brought the exact same felonies to the grand jury. And the grand jury looked at the evidence that was presented to them and said, yep, there's enough evidence here. Proceed towards trial. So let's go over really quickly what a grand jury indictment actually is for anyone who isn't familiar. Similar to a jury that you see in a trial, a grand jury is a panel of people that are from the local community. And the job of a grand jury is to review the evidence from the DA's office and decide one simple question. Is there enough evidence to formally charge a person? Now, unlike a regular trial, grand jury proceedings are actually not open to the public. In fact, typically it's just the prosecutor there presenting evidence to the grand jury. The defense usually doesn't participate at all. So really what that means is that the grand jury only hears one side of the case here. And that's one of the reasons why indictments are pretty notoriously easy to achieve. In fact, you've probably heard of the old saying that, if you really wanted to, you can indict a ham sandwich. So that's why it is important to note that even though, yes, she has been indicted here, it doesn't necessarily mean that there is enough evidence to convict her. Keep in mind that this is in fact a criminal case, which requires proof beyond reasonable doubt. And that is a much higher bar than what the grand jury had to decide on. Now, of course, based on the evidence that we do know that's out there and the charges themselves here in this particular case, it does seem like most of the evidence is probably actually available to the public, and there probably is enough to convict, in my opinion. But I did want to note the differences between the burdens of proof in an indictment versus a trial, because that is a huge difference between the two. However, the fact that the DA went through a full grand jury indictment here is worth paying attention to. You see, the DA also had another viable option available here, and that is called a superior court information, or an SCI. An SCI is basically a shortcut that would allow the prosecution to not need to put on a whole case in front of a grand jury. To do it, the defendant waives her right to a grand jury, and then the DA files a charging document. So basically the case moves forward without that extra step. Now, SCIs can be an indication that both sides are actively working more towards a plea deal as opposed to towards trial. That's
Okay. So, but it's gotten to the point where, I don't blame him. I feel like the defense has just so much, not defense, sorry, not defense. Blah, 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 blah. The prosecutor has so much evidence against them that I'm not taking that. Low key, I agree with him, because this is gonna show a lot of people that you can't just do stuff for clout. There are gonna be consequences, bro. And I feel like he should punish her to as much extent as the law will take, bro, because it will deter people from acting like this.
because an SCI is much faster and simpler than a full grand jury indictment, and it does signal cooperation between the two sides. But here, it looks like the DA didn't go the SCI route. Instead, they took the time to present the case to a full grand jury. And that could mean that they are taking this case pretty seriously, which means they might be a little bit less willing to offer easy plea deals, maybe because they want to make an example here.
I think so.
With that said, it is also totally possible that Henderson was in fact offered a plea deal before the indictment and that she turned it down. But if she did, I personally think that's a pretty foolish decision, because the odds of her getting a better plea offer post-indictment are pretty slim. That's because the closer you get to trial, the less generous these offers tend to get. That is assuming, of course, that there isn't some sort of evidence that comes up that surprises everyone that is super beneficial to the defendant. Now, aside from that, some people might be wondering why this indictment took so long. I mean, the incident happened in October 2025. Then in November 2025, she was arrested. And now in April 2026, we are finally getting an indictment. So let's talk about that real quick. So under New York Criminal Procedure Law Section 30.30, the prosecution generally has 6 months to be ready for trial when a defendant is charged with a felony. And when a defendant isn't held in custody and isn't charged with a violent felony, the DA's office doesn't have additional restrictions within those 6 months to speed up that timeline. And that's the situation here. She's charged with 2 felonies, but neither of them are violent. And she hasn't been held in custody basically since her arrest. And so while the wait
she's
has
been
been
chilling
very
the whole
frustrating
time
for a lot of people who are eager to find out more about this case as it proceeds, it looks like it's actually well within the normal procedural timelines. And honestly, my guess is that this case was probably just sidelined for a period of time while the DA's office focused on maybe more urgent cases, maybe involving violent felonies, for example, for a period of time while the DA's office knew that they were within the statutory window for this particular case. Okay, so let's talk about what she's actually looking at in terms of potential punishment now that she has been officially indicted. So both charges are Class E felonies. And under New York Penal Law Section 70.00, the maximum prison sentence for a Class E felony is 4 years. Because she has 2 of these charges, and because these charges are for 2 separate acts, 1 recording, 1 uploading, she could be looking at up to 8 years in prison if they run consecutively. And I know that a lot of people are really hoping that she gets the full 8 years because what she did was truly awful. This man was unconscious in his own home, and he was in one of the most vulnerable states a person.
If you can't be in your own house and just be comfortable and just do it. Now, I'm not saying like, no, it doesn't matter what I have to say here, because the dude's in his own house. If he wants to be butt booty naked in his own crib, I think he has the right to do that. It's your own house. You're by yourself. You live alone, bro. Like, I don't truly see an issue with that.
Person can be in. And in so many ways, footage that gets uploaded to the internet is forever. And honestly, a lot of people have probably rightly pointed out that if the genders were swapped in this particular case, there would be easy outrage across the board about the defendant's conduct. Instead of helping him or just doing her job and walking away, she recorded his naked body. And then she put it on the internet for the entire world to see. And
I guess you can argue that she put his, she did it the second time and it was censored, but the first time she did it, she wasn't censored, so she put his naked body to then make money from her story time. You're literally that's, if you think about it like that,
worse, probably most of all worse for her, because now this is evidence that is almost definitely going to be used against her.
100%.
She said at one point on the internet afterwards that her purpose in sharing the videos to the internet was to shame and embarrass the man.
Like, this is the only justice I'm getting, is exposing this man and having posted that video and it has gone viral. Like, now he can live with shame and embarrassment if people have seen it and knows who he is or where he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one being punished.
She just said screw the money and I think, I just want you to feel bad. I just want you to have a horrible life. Like, people like this just make me sick to my stomach. You literally just want to see him have a bad life. You're actually a gross human being, bro.
He's not getting in trouble with the police. He didn't lose his job if he has one. Like, what's going on with him? Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down?
Why should he lose his job?
Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. I lost my job. I'm the victim. Right?
But like, from actions of your own accord, you were going to lose your TikTok account because you posted a naked man, and then you did it again even though you tried to censor it. You lost your job because not only did you out his name, you out his address. You gave his private information out for a company, like, while you're working for a company, bro. Are you stupid or are you stupid? Like, everything that's happened to you happened for a reason. But if you're naked, like let's say you're passed out or not, whatever, in your own home, why is someone who wasn't even supposed to be in here like that? No, that you set him up. I really, to be honest, I'll be so honest. This is my personal opinion. This isn't up for debate, bro. If you're really defending her and thinking that she was actually SA'd, I think you're stupid or just an idiot. Maybe a combination of both, actually. Yeah.
Is this making sense to any fucking body?
And that's on top of what we said earlier about her seeming most upset about losing revenue from the viral videos that got taken down. She wanted those views, she wanted to get paid. So the intent to degrade and the intent to profit are both right there on camera coming out of her mouth. And that intent is really important for proving the case against her. So these admissions are incredibly damaging for her case. But all of that considered, here's the reality of sentencing. Henderson appears to have no prior criminal history. And to her credit, since her arrest, she's been fairly quiet on social media. She hasn't been making things worse for herself like many social media influencers who have run into legal trouble. And under New York law, the court has options beyond prison for sentencing. And those include probation and conditional discharge. So unless the DA and the judge really want to make an example out of her, there is a good chance that she'll probably get some form of probation. Do I personally love that result? No, but I'm simply looking at the reality of how these things tend to shake out. But consider the fact that even if she does avoid prison, if she ends up with a felony conviction on her record, it does carry real consequences. It can affect employment, housing, professional licensing if she ever tries to pursue something like that, and a whole lot more. It follows you for a long time if you can't get it off your record. And personally, I think that she should face meaningful consequences.
Yes.
This wasn't some kind of innocent mistake. It was a series of deliberate choices. She chose to record him, and then she chose to upload it, and then she chose to monetize it, and then she chose to falsely accuse this man of sexual assault, and she chose to double down publicly. Every single one of those choices was self-serving and at someone else's expense. And the person—
I was just about to say, you know what? Maybe not the full 8 years, but give her like 4 or 5. But then the minute she said, yeah, you tried to falsely accuse him, I say, yeah, give her 12. Give her another 4. Because people don't realize this, bro. Even though a lot of people know that this isn't SA, just being accused is enough to hurt you. That's crazy. After chilling in my own crib sleeping, I'm now an SAer because you said so. What? Yeah, no, give her the 8 years, bro. Because you can't, because if everything went her way, his life would be over. It'd be over. It'd be absolutely over, bro.
who paid the price was a man who was passed out on his own couch in his own living room in his own home. People can debate all day and night about whether or not the door was open, how open it was, if it was open at all, yada, yada, yada. The fact of the matter is, she is not clearly in the clear here with her conduct. Anyway, so where does the case go from here?
Yes.
The county court docket shows that her next court appearance is scheduled for May 1st, 2026 at 9 a.m. It was originally set for April 20th, but that got rescheduled for, I don't know, some reason. So now there are a few possible paths that go from here. Path number 1 is one I've mentioned, it's a plea deal. Honestly, this would be the smartest move for her at this point, in my opinion. If she accepts responsibility now, she likely gets a more favorable outcome than going to trial and losing. Because honestly, the evidence here looks pretty clear cut for the prosecution. And I think that if this case goes to trial, it ends with a conviction. And on top of that, when it comes to sentencing, judges also tend to look more favorably on defendants who take accountability. Anyway, then there's path number 2. Here, her attorney could file a motion to dismiss the indictment. You can probably put 2 and 2 together here, but that is basically where the defense argues that the indictment should be thrown out entirely. Maybe they say that the evidence was insufficient. Maybe they argue some kind of a procedural defect. But given the evidence, like I said, I think that is a very uphill battle. She made the video, she posted it, she talked about why she posted it extensively on the internet. to everyone, to the public, to the world. So trying to attack this indictment doesn't seem like the most successful route. Anyway, then there's path number 3. If there's no plea deal and no successful motion to dismiss the indictment, then this case proceeds to discovery and eventually to trial. And in my last video on this topic, I talked about how one of two things would probably happen here. Either she goes through some difficult character development and eventually decides to take a deal, or she digs in until the very end and almost certainly gets convicted with a harsher sentence. And so it seems like we are probably about to find out fairly soon which of those two paths she chooses. And I, for one, will be watching very closely. Until then, the way I see it, this could end up going either way, but at the moment, it looks like things are moving forward towards trial. In my opinion.
Okay, yo, shout out to Legal Bites for this video. Said it before, I say it again. I think she deserves some jail time. I'm like, we need to stop living in this world where we just stop doing things for clout, and we have to realize if you're gonna do it, like, there's gonna be consequences, bro. There are gonna be consequences, and I actually don't personally feel bad. That's crazy. And hey, if you disagree, let me know why. Maybe I'm bugging. Maybe I'm being too harsh. That just because she wanted to ruin this guy's life on some lies, like that she should be let out. I don't know. Maybe I'm bugging. But great video from Legal Bite. Don't forget to give her a quick little sub or whatever. Let them know what's good. Other than that, guys, if you think it was a W, let me know. I think it was an L, let me know. Other than that, thank you for watching and welcome to the Marination.